What up, though?
Welcome to Woman Crush Every Day, where we discuss queer media, especially when it is black and especially when it is woman. I'm your host, Tang B, aka Sean B. Scribe.
And I'm your host, Allison, aka Al Wu.
And today we are going to discuss Heatwave on Amazon Prime from Epix.
But before we do that, go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can tune in each week as we drop new media where we discuss, where we really get into the meat, into the nitty gritty of this content that features the stories of black queer women.
Period. So this is an exciting one for us to bring you. There's a little story behind it. So we watched it on Amazon Prime, rewatched it with the Epix free trial.
Yes. If you don't already have Epix, tap into that free trial.
But the first time we watched it, we were on a vacation.
Yeah.
Well, coming back from
New Orleans to Detroit via Delta, their in-flight entertainment included this film. I saw some gay shit.
There were many other gay things that you can watch.
Yeah, and in fact, we're going to be talking about some of those other things in the future, but we're going to get into Heatwave first.
Absolutely. So Heatwave, it's about a single black woman, Claire, who has this tragic past and she's climbing up the real estate firm ladder. She takes this job and moves up the ladder into an assistant position with this guy who she's been idolizing,
Scott
Crane. But she's also being seduced by this white woman, Eve, who turns out to be Scott Crane's wife, her boss. Dun, dun. Ah. And when her boss goes missing, all fingers start to point at Claire.
Yeah. And that's the plot.
Yep.
You know how we do with the spoilers. We're going to go ahead and get into what happened, our favorite moments.
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead. You want to kick us off? What was your favorite moment in Heatwave?
All right. So, well, let me just say this. Heatwave is like a crime, drama, suspense, romance smashed into one, which I happen to find comedic. So my favorite moments are definitely a comedic take. So towards the end of the movie, there's Claire has been caught, and the bad cop, Eve and Lane, who is her nemesis at work, are all there, and Claire is tied up and about to be shot. When Lane goes to shoot her, and she like uses her kickboxing to get away, and then starts running, and the cop, the person who's supposed to be a detective, starts shooting at her. She gets away by doing this.
Yeah, I like how you threw in the laugh. I don't know that she was laughing, but
I was laughing.
It looked like she was laughing, and she's jumping out of these bullets out of this. I don't know how she did it.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
So it's between that or when they did the flashback to Lane chipping the ice at the work party, because he's just like,
yeah.
You can see his
very
killer anger,
murderous.
you know. And when I first saw it, I was like, it's probably Lane. He's probably going to be the one who kills somebody. Look at him. Who chops the ice like that?
This.
Why are we seeing this?
You know what's funny is that when I saw that ice chopping scene the first time, I was like, is that what rich people do? Is that what they do at parties? They have a giant block of ice and chop away at it. And then I thought for a second, I was like, is that cool? Do I want to try that? But honestly, I don't know.
It feels like a lot of work. Like I feel like typically
too much work
they would have
to get a little bit of ice.
Somebody else do that.
Yeah.
It feels like only because of the budget of like thinking about creating a film that you, or maybe thinking about like the kind of character you're trying to say that she's like, this is actually a well-funded film.
Okay,
so I can't burn that at all. This was incredibly well-funded. The lighting is good. Like,
it looks great.
It looks great.
I mean, the film looks professionally done.
Yeah. But I'm thinking about, you know, if you were trying to create a particular character, or if you wanted to keep a cast small, you would have the people who are involved, and because you're like trying to plant these little seeds.
Yeah, I think it was like the little
you would
Easter
have
eggs.
this person
Chopping,
do this action.
do that act.
Because otherwise, what would he do that's violent? Staple, like
hilarious.
Spill coffee, like
yeah,
it's like rich people stuff.
Yeah, you have to have a pickaxe at a giant block of ice at the party.
Yeah, and show him doing it, which was hilarious to me.
That was
that moment.
That was funny. It
Yes.
definitely, and it stood out to me. I was like, "What's even happening right here?
Yeah.
Is this a thing?" Okay, so, my favorite part of the movie, I feel like there was a close second to the getting away from the shooting scene.
Yeah.
When Detective Parker is going to shoot at Arlo, Detective Leonard.
Right.
Shoots Leonard in the head.
Just
Bam.
immediately.
No problem. And Claire is still in handcuffs. Is she in handcuffs at this moment? No, she's not
in
handcuffed.
the car.
She's just in the car. But the way that, like, and I know he wasn't trying to get her, but just the whole, like, scene of it all, I feel like, I know this wasn't supposed to be funny, but it made me laugh. And I think it was one of my favorite moments in the movie. Also, you know me, the big Scorpio energy. They had a hot and steamy love scene in the top of the film.
They did.
I'll take that. I approve of that one. I don't approve of the second one that happened, but
because it's a question of character at that point.
Yeah. But those were my favorite moments.
Awesome. All right. Who was your woman crush?
Claire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was here for Claire.
That's why we watched it.
Yeah, we watched this movie for Claire.
Yeah.
She's the black lesbian in the film.
Yes. Or maybe bisexual.
She may be bisexual, but I don't know. We didn't go there. We didn't really see that. We saw her, like, playing dudes.
Yeah.
But we didn't really see her
really try to get invested in any guy. Even when she got drinks with the guy, she was looking across the bar at Eve.
What was that about?
I think she was bored and trying to get out. And so I only assumed she was bisexual because she's scrolling through a dating app and she sees him, which means that you have to be putting in there that you're interested in men.
Or you can just turn that on.
You could just turn it on.
I don't know. Whatever.
Anyway, she chose to get a drink with him, but it didn't seem... They complimented each other.
Later on, though, when she makes the comment, like, men.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, is that you all trying to say that she's a lesbian? I don't know.
I think it's trying to say that she's interested in women. We know that. And that she recognizes that dudes will be on bullshit. But in this case, women are also on bullshit.
Big time. Okay? Big time. Okay? So, all right. Well, what can stay, what can go?
All right. So, what can stay is the background of this film is actually rooted in this story of social justice. And I really love that. So, Claire is just like, she has this past where her family was killed in a fire. They were living in a housing project that was being run by a slumlord who let the building get all out of code, and that is why there was nothing to detect or deter the fire once it occurred. Her family died. She sought out revenge and ended up paying the price for it and has been slowly building up to recover from that, and really is eyeing real estate, and there is this story of like who gets to own property and what do they do with it and how do they run it. So that can stay. What can go for me is why is the detective so bad at his job?
Yeah, these are some, like, donut-eating ass cops. Like, what are y'all even doing? This is defund the police as cops.
When they were sitting in front of the house of the bad detective, that's what I've just been calling him.
Bad Detective 1
There's
and Bad
Arlo
Detective 2.
and Bad Detective. So
Fair.
Arlo and Claire are sitting in the car and doing this whole setup on Bad Detective, his partner, and when Bad Detective comes out the driveway and drives past the car, like, they barely duck down. They don't, like, these windows don't seem to be heavily tinted in any way. Like, he calls him from a car outside, and I'm just like, I mean, I live in a house in a neighborhood. You can tell. Also, this is your partner. You know what his car looks like.
Yeah.
So that can go. Just bad detective work. Bad.
Bad detective work. We don't like to see it in the movies.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm going to say I do agree with the what can stay in terms of the film being, like, rooted in social justice, and, like, this black woman went back and, like, burned down the house of the landlord, you know, and really getting her revenge. But so I'm here for that can stay, but I also feel like what can go is the fact that she really just leaned in to the, like, capitalist bullshit that is real estate. Now, I don't want to say, like, fuck all real estate, that can't be a thing, blah, blah, blah. But there's a part in the film, and this is my what can go, where she's like, yeah, go. Okay, so she gets tipped off by the woman that she's sleeping with. She gets tipped off by the owner's wife, who says you can purchase this property at the cannery. So she's in a meeting with all of the execs who are purchasers or whatever, and is like, I think we should buy the cannery. And they're like, why? And he's like, oh, it's like, they insinuated that it's the ghetto or whatever. Yeah. And then she was like, yeah, we should just price them out and, like, you know, take advantage. And it's like, I'm like, wait a second. Okay, yeah, sure, you're a pro at real estate, but I think it's really weird that they have this black woman at the helm of let's price them out when she herself was living in a fucked up situation. When she herself comes from, you know, needing a second chance, which they tell us throughout the film, that she had to go to this halfway house called Second Chances.
That was owned by the same company that she's now working for.
Yeah.
It's like they're part of their foundation.
Like, they literally advocate to gentrify this area and just leave it at that. They take it as a good idea and say, you're right, let's gentrify that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then we just keep going throughout the film. So I'm like, actually, big weird. And y'all, like, almost had to cast a black woman, biracial woman, in order to play this role, because then if it's a white woman and this is an all white cast, now we're in Problemville. Like,
I think that is a reality, though, because I do think that sometimes that is the people up top who are advocating for, yes, we can make money off of this because it's going to happen anyway, so let's get our bucks. I think that's a sad reality, and I think part of it may be, and maybe I'm giving credit where it's not due, but maybe part of the story was revealing to her the evil even in this guy. Because they even pointed out, like, oh, you're going to tell us some gentrification thing?
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, but she also idolizes him.
Yeah.
And
which
is
was
working
gross.
in his company.
And still calls him the wiser man.
Yeah, it was weird. And I have to also throw in the what can go. After she starts to... Things start getting weird between... Okay, Claire and Eve. Eve is the boss's wife's name. Once things get weird between her, Claire loses some trust. A couple days go by, and then she ends up back at Eve's house, going down on her, like,
why?
Snacking on her too, like big mealtime. And I'm like, wait a second, what? Wait a second, I thought we don't trust her anymore.
Period.
Why are you? I'm thinking, okay, it's one thing if you go over there to get some right quick, to go get that dome. It's another thing when you dropping dome off. Big foul.
I would have judged her for either one.
Big
either
foul.
one.
So that can go. I didn't understand that. Y'all lost me. Y'all almost lost a viewer right there. I almost like, wait.
Even at the end when she was like, Eve is like, oh, I love you. And she's holding a gun to her and she's like, I love you too. I was like, why? Why would you love her? What about her has given you love?
Another question. Okay, I meant to say this in my favorite parts, but at the, towards the end of the film, when Eve gets found out that she's a total manipulator and all this, just demon in the scene, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because this literally took me out. Okay. So, the scene is between Claire and Eve having their, final showdown. Then when Claire kind of reveals, you're busted, it's over, and Eve's like, ugh, they, freeze frame, turn it into a picture, and then it's Eve's picture that's on the headline of the news saying, millionaire wife gets 20 years behind bars or some shit. And I'm like, wait a second. How did y'all get that photo? Okay.
How? Who was there?
Who was at the crime scene? What newspaper photographer, what AP photographer was there to snap that photo?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
I chortled, audible laughter on the plane when that was the freeze frame and headline photo. That can stay in, that can go, because it made me laugh so hard. But what are y'all doing?
Why would that be the photo? Also, what can go is just, Claire, you brought this on yourself. Because why are you falling in love with Eve? The woman who pushed herself onto you is vague, will barely tell you anything about who she is.
Come on.
How are you in love with her? You just are in heat. That's the heat wave.
That's the heat wave.
You're in heat. You need to get some. You was even willing to fuck a dude. I don't know. Let's grab a drink. See what happens.
Yeah, she was rolling the dice.
It's just I'll take anything right now. Anything. And I don't know why you're having those problems, because you're not ugly. So I don't know why you just fell in love with Eve, who always seemed like a creepy ass liar.
Yeah. I feel like that's very queer canon for me. It's this U-Haul ass relationship, because it did not take them long at all to conclude that they were madly in love with each other.
Oh yeah.
And it's all kind of lies and secrets and things we don't know about each other's lives
at all.
Murder, sex, scandals, hey, but y'all in love. Yeah. But y'all two in love with each other. What kind of goofy shit?
It doesn't.
Okay. But yeah, that felt very queer canon for me. It felt like they were really leaning into that trope of lesbian characters who fall in love entirely too soon.
Yes. Well, where this fits in the queer canon for me is lesbian who thinks that she's here to, climb up the career ladder and have an amazing romance, who actually finds out she herself is a detective, a better detective than all the other people in her town, because she solves her own crime to make sure she can remain emancipated. And
speak on it.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Speak on that. Well, what were we going to say?
That's it. She did it. She had to do it all herself. So this is just fitting into the narrative of black women have to carry themselves.
Hilarious. I feel like this film kind of reminds me of a thriller version of Under the Christmas Tree.
Oh, nice.
We did a review of Under the Christmas Tree. This was Lifetime's first lesbian film.
Yeah.
And I feel like these Eve and Claire remind me very much of the lesbian couple in Under the Christmas Tree. But I feel like, and there's like this kind of cheesiness to it around, like, we're not really gonna go, let's not get into the particulars of the film, let's not get into the details, let's just have a good time.
Right.
This is
they smile at each other, they each other, they touch each other's hair, sexy time in the pool.
I mean, but like the whole thing, I feel like it's still very, like, this one is deep, but it's not really that deep, because if we were really to go deep, there are a lot of other gaps that would have had to been filled in how this story was told. So it's like, there's still like this, like, we're actually just having a good time. Yeah,
it's supposed to be a suspenseful ride.
Yeah, but I think of like a fun suspense. It's not a real, like,
trying to scare you.
It's, we're not really trying to take us there.
No.
And I like the fact that we see this same-sex relationship while also not making it about that.
The scandal is cool, it's her boss's spouse.
That's the scandal. Not, I mean, the lesbian part really has something to do with the story. So it's like, that's kind of cool that it can just be like lesbians out here sleeping with bosses' wives.
And that you can watch it on a plane and it's not considered inappropriate content for the public. Like that amazed me. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know the world on a Delta flight was here. That made my heart warm. That would not have happened for Shantae Brown in 1990s or the early 2000s.
No.
You would not have been able to watch Heatwave. That would have been
you wouldn't have been able to watch
adult
anything
section
on the plane.
That's true. You wouldn't have been able to get on the plane without going through TSA though.
That's true.
It would have been a very much quick process. We could have showed up 15 minutes before.
Tis true.
People could have walked us to the gate.
Tis true.
Just like on TV.
Tis true. Ah, how the world has changed.
But what has not is the amount of lesbian content out here. So watch Heatwave. It's actually a great time. It was enjoyable. We watched it again. It was enjoyable the second time as well.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad we watched it again too.
And it's perfect if you have a flight coming up. Yeah, it was perfect for our 2-hour flight.
Yeah,
fit right in there.
I don't know if this like on all the airlines or who carries it. I don't know. This was Delta. If you're flying Delta, boom, bam. And if not, like we said, you can watch it on Amazon Prime, or if you have Epix, if you have a subscription to Epix through Amazon Prime or through Epix on its own. I don't know how that works. Whatever it is, you can watch it there as well.
Absolutely.
So
until next time, peace.